All right, so I'm out at Oak Hill Raceway with my buddy Michael Kasberg. He just got him a 2024 300 XC. You can see that behind my bike. I'm on a 24 KTM 250 XCW. I picked it up earlier this week. This was a bike from the press launch they had for these earlier in the year, and pretty much just riding it completely stock. I did put some Enduro Engineering open-ended handguards on it because they're a quick, easy install. I was a little lazy yesterday, and then I put a wheel set on that has bibs and the Michelin Starcross 6. I'm running the medium soft, and then I pretty much firmed up the suspension to the what they call sport setting in the owner's manual. It's about 9 clicks out on compression and maybe 11 out on rebound on the rear, or maybe on the front, and I think the rear it's only about 5 out. And I'm riding a motocross track. It's not really what this bike is designed for, but it's actually, I'm having a blast riding it. It's of course too soft, mainly in the fork initially, but riding motocross, so as I said, it's not what the bike is designed for. Really looking forward to getting it out on the trail and doing some proper setup videos and slowly building this thing out. But since it's a new generation bike, I wanted to do a little bit more of an in-depth video and post some different things as I figure it out. It's a really fun bike to ride. I kind of do miss the extra 50 cc's here at the motocross track for some of the roll-on when I get tired, but it's hooking up really well. It sounds awesome. I'm having a blast on it actually, so really good time. Gonna go out, put some gas in it, and go do a few more laps. I've done 230s already, so my back is pretty smoked, but we'll go give her hell for a couple laps so you guys can see what this bike with a headlight, how it runs on the motocross track. Usually I try to run my bars directly over the center of the fork cap, and these are about the middle point's probably 3 millimeters behind the fork, like the center of the fork. Yeah. I don't dislike it. I just was curious. The bar bend feels good. It's a nice neutral low handlebar.
I don't mind them. I like them better. I don't know if they changed them, but they don't feel as wide as the last one.
They don't feel as tall either.
Yeah. Maybe that'll all change when I'm into trees with them.
Oh, yes, sir. noticed right out of the gate was the power of this bike. It was very smooth. It didn't have quite the roll-on that a 300 has, but it was still very strong. It ran very clean, and this bike would rev really far. So I was able to stay in just third and fourth gear at the track, roll third through the corners, and then just feather the clutch if I needed to get the RPMs up, and the bike would instantly come alive. And it was good. You know, the track was not plowed very deep. It's what they call a vet track, or a vet prep. So if it had been plowed a lot deeper, I probably would have been feeling like I wanted some more power. But it honestly was really good, because as the track started to dry out, I could still ride really aggressive, and the bike would not surprise me, and I wouldn't get very fatigued. The power on this bike is nothing crazy, but it's very rideable, very linear, and very smooth, which I think will benefit a lot of riders. And I think it's going to be really fun to see how this bike works on the trail once I take it out there. It's been triple digit temperatures the last month here in Dallas, and no rain, so our off-road stuff right now is pretty miserable to go ride. And so that's the reason I went to the motocross track. One of the biggest takeaways yesterday on the way home, my wrists were aching, and my wrists never bother me when I ride, and I realized it was the first time in 5 years that I've ridden without the XC Gear Mako 360 bar clamp. I've just got the standard. This bike was completely stock, and so that Mako 360 is going to be the first part that I throw on this bike. It was unbelievable how big of a difference I could feel in my hands on the way home, my wrists especially, after not using the Mako 360. So that was eye-opening. I did switch to the quick throttle cam, the black one that goes with the ODI grips, just to wake up the throttle response a little bit. I did run it in the green map mode. The suspension, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I firmed it up to the sport settings as listed in KTM's owner's manual. The fork was soft on the motocross track, which I expected, and so was the shock. I was bottoming out on some bigger hits and some spots through the whoops where I was doubling in and then hitting some other stuff. It would blow through pretty quick, but I expected that. It was still much more rideable than previous generation XCW motorcycles would have been. There's no way I would have taken the previous year bike in stock form suspension wise to the motocross track. I could have done it, but I would not have really felt super safe riding aggressively. And yesterday I was able to ride aggressively. I just had to be mindful of some of the big holes and stuff, just to pick good lines, just not to completely bottom out and get myself in a bad situation. So I'm really looking forward to getting this bike on the trail. The suspension especially, this chassis feels really good, and to me it's the best out of the box feeling PDS platform bike in a while. I was a fan of the XCW TPIs, but the new throttle body on this bike, that injection system, it's so much stronger feeling, and it revs so much further and continues to make power in the RPM range as you go higher. It doesn't sign off. Another thing I really liked about it was how easy it was to change direction on the track, move from side to side, pick different lines, hit the insides. I've been riding that 350 all year, and this bike felt like a mountain bike compared to that. So I loved that. I loved being back on the two-stroke, the sound, all the things that make riding two-strokes fun. It was great to be back on that riding. Stock handlebars felt great. The ergonomics are good. I'm gonna experiment with a tall seat. Haven't ridden one in a while, but I'm gonna try that on this bike. I've got a whole host of other things to try. The only other thing that I did experiment, I had a different rear sprocket, and I went up 2 teeth on the rear, stocks of 45, and I put a 47 on yesterday, and it was dang near spot on at the motocross track. So I'm curious to see how that translates to how that translates in the woods when I go ride that there. So got some Gnarly Roots tours coming up. And then once I get back, I'll have everything kind of in place to start slowly building this bike out and following up. And yeah, that's my quick rundown. I'm stoked on these new generation XCW motorcycles. I think there's a ton of potential right out of the box with just minor setting changes. And yeah, good time to be riding motorcycles. Thanks for watching.